Most of us treat personal change like pushing a 4-ton boulder up a vertical slope. We burn out, we stall, and we eventually let go. But the physics of behavior change work differently. Success depends on the size of the initial push. Society encourages us to take grand, high-stakes leaps. We assume that writing a book requires an 8-hour marathon, or that getting fit demands a grueling new regimen. Your brain's survival mechanisms prioritize energy conservation, meaning it will actively resist any sudden high-energy expenditure. This makes designing actions that require almost zero biological energy a logistical necessity for long-term change. To understand how these microactions create outsized results, we need to map the specific mechanics of compounding behavior. We can break this into 4 specific zones. First, we separate motion versus action. Then we look at the baseline of simplicity. From there, we examine the mechanics of expanding the starter step. And finally, we deconstruct the mathematics of compounding. By the end of this breakdown, you will see exactly how these 4 pieces fit together to bypass your brain's natural resistance to change. Let's isolate the difference between being in motion and taking action. Motion is the planning phase. It is researching diet plans, watching workout tutorials, or outlining a business strategy. It feels productive, but it produces 0 real-world outcomes. We get stuck in motion because it is safe. It delivers a sense of progress without exposing us to the risk of failing. Action, by contrast, is a physical behavior that breaks the barrier into reality. It is placing a single block, doing 1 push-up, or writing a single sentence. It might only take 2 seconds, but it creates a tangible result. Because compounding relies strictly on physical repetition, a tiny executed action is more valuable than 100 hours of perfect planning. To execute that action consistently, you have to eliminate friction. Friction is the psychological cost of doing something new. If a task is complicated or physically draining, your daily routine will reject it. Look at the digital products you use every day. The most successful software platforms did not launch with 50 complex features. They started with 1 simple, effortless function that users could perform without thinking. Human behavior operates on the same logic. You bypass the brain's resistance by stripping your new behavior down to its absolute lowest baseline. If you want to floss daily, your initial target should be flossing 1 single tooth. Shrinking a behavior to this microscopic level protects it. It guarantees you can perform the task even on your most exhausted days, allowing the routine to take root in your nervous system. Flossing 1 tooth or writing 1 sentence is a psychological gateway rather than the end goal. This is your starter step. It is the 2-minute entry point to your larger ambition, like opening your textbook and sitting at the desk, or tying your running shoes. Once that microscopic starter step becomes a reliable reflex, it shifts your momentum. Stepping over the threshold creates a natural chain reaction that pulls you forward into subsequent actions. This leads to natural expansion. Because the hardest part, starting, is already behind you, your brain often voluntarily executes the rest of the workout or the reading assignment without effort. Mastering the gateway allows the rest of the complex routine to follow. When you repeat that starter step day after day, the behavior wires itself into your basal ganglia, solidifying into an automatic sequence. Once a habit reaches this automatic phase, it requires virtually 0 cognitive energy to maintain. You perform it by default. This chart models the transition from linear effort to exponential results. The flat line represents the low daily effort of an automated habit. As the behavior repeats, it eventually hits a threshold where the results begin to multiply, curving sharply upward. A 1% improvement on your daily trajectory is invisible in the moment, but projected out over months and years, that microscopic shift locks you into a different final destination. Significant results emerge as the mathematical byproduct of tiny actions securely anchored into a routine. To build compounding habits, prioritize physical action over motion. Strip the behavior down to an effortless baseline. Focus on expanding the starter step, and let the mathematics of compounding do the work. Large-scale change requires shrinking your focus, mastering the smallest possible starting point, and letting time execute the rest. In the end, it's a complex equation simplified.